Hello and welcome back to Football Daily. Today we're looking at 10 recent transfers where we think the player chose the wrong club to join. If you disagree with our choices, then let us know in the comments. Now let's get into it. 10. Dango Ouattara. This January, only Arsenal, Southampton and Chelsea invested more than Bournemouth, with the South Coast Minnows pinning their survival hopes on £50 million worth of new recruits. Of the arrivals, Hamid Traore has looked impressive, but his influence falls short of Dango Ouattara, who is motored on to 3 assists from his first 8 appearances. The £20 million he cost from FC Lorient looks excellent value. The Burkina Faso attacker had chalked up 6 goals and 5 assists during the first half of the campaign in France, and has clearly not been phased swapping Ligue 1 for the Premier League. Though he is shooting less for the Cherries, he's completing more take-ons and making more passes into the final third, proving a challenge for every Premier League defence. The only pity is that there is every chance Ouattara might be stuck in the Championship next term. At only 21, his career is just getting started. Having seen the equally exciting Ismaïla Sarr and João Pedro wasted on the Championship in recent years at Watford, we just hope Ouattara's decision to join Bournemouth doesn't see him tumble down the same path. 9. Richarlison. When Tottenham signed Richarlison in the summer, we are happy to admit we thought it was an excellent transfer. For €50 million, they'd captured a versatile forward capable of playing wide and through the middle, finally offering a suitable and experienced alternative to Harry Kane, plus competition for the rest of the attack. But things have not gone to plan. By Richarlison's own admission, his first season at Spurs has been rubbish, for use of cleaner terminology. Although various injuries have proven disruptive, the former Everton man is still yet to score in the league, despite an expected goal return of 2.2. His sole highlight was a Champions League double against Marseille, while he hasn't completed 90 minutes in any competition for almost 5 months. It's worth reminding that the 25-year-old enjoyed a stunning World Cup with Brazil, yet dislodging Kane or an underperforming Son has proven a challenge too far. Antonio Conte recently declared Richarlison had a selfish attitude, adding that if he deserves to play, I'll give him an opportunity. However, that barrier has collapsed and now Conte has left. Let's see if Richarlison can finish the campaign on a high and silence his doubters for good. 8. Ryan Gravenberch. According to the German football expert Raphael Honigstein, the Bayern Munich players struggled with Julian Nagelsmann's treatment of the young midfield pair of Paul Werner and Ryan Gravenberch. The exciting starlets barely played under Nagelsmann, despite his glowing reputation for developing talent. Still only 17, Werner's time will come, and the same applies to Gravenberch at 3 years his elder. Having signed from Ajax in a cut-price €23 million deal, the Dutch international has greater reason to believe he deserves more than the 307 minutes he has been afforded in the Bundesliga. Just as Marcel Sabitzer discovered, musting out Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka is a monumental task. And even when there has been an opening in midfield, Jamal Musiala has often dropped deeper to fill that hole. Thomas Tuchel could be more receptive to Gravenberch, however Kimmich and Goretzka are still only 28, with their best years ahead of them, meaning a permanent berth in the Rekordmeister's starting 11 may be wishful thinking for Gravenberch. All things considered, Bayern was the wrong choice of club. A return to Amsterdam or a team more in need of his services may be vital come August. 7. Matheus Nunes. Wolves' record signing Matheus Nunes is the latest Portuguese sensation to call the Molineux home. But while the dressing room may have a familiar feel, Nunes has looked lost on the pitch. For Sporting, the 24-year-old was a deep-lying playmaker that could break the lines with his surging runs. His creativity was complemented perfectly by João Paulinho, who is now applying his monstrous defensive ethic at Fulham. Nunes should have slotted in nicely into the Wolves midfield alongside the equally tenacious Ruben Neves, but in the heat of the Premier League, Nunes has seen his passes per game slashed from 49 to 27.2, while his pass accuracy had dropped by almost 10%. It means 1 assist is all he has for his efforts. What's more, the Portuguese international has become victim of his own versatility, often moved around the midfield to cover holes in the starting 11. Having blossomed under the attack-driven Ruben Amorim, the conservative tactics of Bruno Lage and Julen Lopetegui clearly doesn't suit his style. Nunes needs a team that play on the front foot, so if reported interest from Liverpool is real, he should be grabbing that opportunity with open arms. 6. Charles de Ketelaere. No one can blame Charles de Ketelaere for joining AC Milan this summer. The Rossoneri were back in business, winners of Serie A and set to challenge in Europe. What better time to join one of the sport's most historic clubs? Yet while Milan have been impressive in the Champions League, reaching the quarter-finals for the first time since 2012, de Ketelaere can't take any credit for that run. In fact, the fans at San Siro are quickly running out of patience in the 22-year-old attacking midfielder. From 23 Serie A appearances, including 7 starts, De Ketelaere has mustered up 1 assist and not a single goal. He has missed 4 big chances and is shooting barely over once every other match. In crucial games, he's often disappeared too, with the former Italy manager Arrigo Sacchi recently blasting De Ketelaere as a scared loser who's afraid to play, and few can argue with that assessment. At €32 million, the former Club Brugge star is Milan's joint biggest transfer of the past 5 years. They beat Leeds United to his signature, and perhaps the English outfit would have been a better step, before tackling a European giant further down the line. 5. Hugo Ekitiké. Hugo Ekitiké presents a classic example of why young players tend to leave PSG rather than join. Last season, the French forward was the talk of Ligue 1, netting 10 for Stade de Reims in his first full senior campaign. His success fueled heavy interest from Newcastle United, but PSG's advances proved too hard to resist, and Ekitiké headed to Paris in a £30 million deal. There are few better mentors to shadow than Messi, Mbappe and Neymar, but this experience has come at the cost of game time, with Ekitiké handed just 800 minutes in Ligue 1. 3 goals and 3 assists isn't a bad return, but compared to last season, he's hitting the target less and scoring with half his shots on target. No wonder Christophe Galtier has been reluctant to play him on the big occasions. The irony is that Ekitiké's agent rejected Newcastle over reservations about the Magpies project. We saw no short or medium-term plan with their approach, he told L'Équipe, comments which may live to haunt him. While the young forward looks frustrated, Newcastle are flying. And as for Runts, the free-scoring Balogun means Ekitiké is all but forgotten. 4. Kalvin Phillips. With just 5 substitute appearances in the Premier League and only 2 starts in all competitions, Kalvin Phillips must be miffed at how his summer move to Manchester City has played out, especially given it cost £45 million to prize him off Leeds. However, this was always a risk the 27-year-old must have known he would face. City signed Manuel Akanji to bolster their backline, pushing Rodri back into his preferred position in holding midfield. Add in Pep Guardiola's trusted servants of Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan, plus the irreplaceable Kevin De Bruyne, and Phillips' chances at the Etihad always looked slim. It certainly didn't help that he missed 11 games at the start of the campaign with a shoulder injury too. Playing under Guardiola is a bucket list experience for every player, but on this occasion Phillips may have got it wrong. If Gundogan does move on this summer, a space in the side may appear, but don't bet against City pulling in a replacement. If that happens, England's 2021 Player of the Year should start considering his options. 3. Franck Kessié. When Franck Kessié rejected a new deal at AC Milan to join Barcelona, his stock had never been higher. In 2020-21, he made the Serie A team of the season, then won the Scudetto the following campaign. Valued at €45 million by Transfermarkt and still only 26, the Ivorian was set to enjoy the best years of his career, pulling strings in the Blaugrana midfield. In reality though, breaking into Xavi's starting 11 has been challenging. Aside from the retired Gerard Piqué and the disaster addition of Hector Bellerin, no senior player at Barcelona has been given fewer chances than Kessié, whose 18 appearances in La Liga are almost exclusively off the bench. But perhaps he shouldn't be too surprised. Ahead of him are Busquets, Pedri and Gavi, the same trio that regularly line up in midfield for Spain and embody the club's identity. Then there is Frenkie de Jong, who has brushed off speculation over his future to gain more minutes than any outfield player this term. Kessié must seriously hope Busquets rejects a new deal at the Camp Nou. If not, it may be more of the same for the Ivorian next term. 2. Lucas Paquetá. It's easy to forget that Lucas Paquetá was Brazil's first-choice midfielder alongside Casemiro at the World Cup, over big names like Bruno Guimaraes, Fabinho and Fred. The latter 3 are all fighting for Champions League football on a domestic level. Paquetá, meanwhile, is scrapping against relegation at West Ham. Put simply, the 25-year-old made an error leaving Lyon for the East London outfit. In France, he was one of Ligue 1's most tenacious all-action midfielders, scoring 18 goals and assisting 11 across 2 years thanks to an average of 2.6 shots and 6.6 progressive passes a game. Attacking output he matched with over 3 tackles and interceptions per 90. West Ham paid a club record £51 million to sign him, but David Moyes is struggling to handle his South American sensation. Paquetá is playing much deeper than he did at Lyon, seeing his touches in the opposition half slashed by nearly a third. 2 goals and 2 assists reflects his stunted creativity, with the former AC Milan man trying too hard to influence games all over the pitch. If things don't start improving at the London Stadium, then it may be best to leave the Hammers. But whether they'll consider letting him go so soon is another question entirely. 1. Dušan Vlahović. Arsenal fans are bathing in their glorious revival under Mikel Arteta, and one of the targets of their renewed vigour is Dušan Vlahović, who infamously rejected the Gunners just over a year ago. In January 2022, the Serbian forward was hot property. Across 18 months, he had netted 38 league goals for Fiorentina, making him the second forward born after the year 2000 to score at least 40 goals in a top 5 league alongside Erling Haaland. Arsenal came calling, offering up €80 million for Vlahović, a bid that was reportedly accepted by Fiorentina. However, he opted to join Juventus instead for a similar fee, with it later being revealed that Vlahovic's agent had favoured the Italian giants all along, a factor that infuriated the Arsenal hierarchy. But now it's Edu and Mikel Arteta having the last laugh. As while the Gunners are storming towards their first Premier League title in almost 20 years, Juve are languishing outside the Champions League spots after being dealt a 15-point deduction in financial irregularities. Add in the fact Vlahović has only scored a modest 8 goals this term, and Arsenal have potentially dodged an expensive bullet. The same could be said for Mykhailo Mudryk too, unless he can get his act together at Chelsea under a new manager. So that was 10 players who joined the wrong team. But what did you think of our choices? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more great content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.